Fog clings to shattered concrete. A road cuts through an industrial wasteland. Drones circle overhead like mechanical vultures. And at the front of a Ukrainian assault column, a 70-ton American tank rolls forward, deliberately, unapologetically, daring someone to take the first shot. Moments later, the battlefield explodes. This was not just another armoured engagement in eastern Ukraine. This was a calculated, high-risk strike built around a machine many believed would never truly fit this war. A Ukrainian M1A1 Abrams pushing into contested ground near Pokrovsk, anchoring a combined arms assault under the constant threat of drones, mines, artillery, and guided munitions. And when the dust settled, even observers in Washington were paying close attention. Because the Abrams did not just survive, it performed. And in doing so, it sent a message far beyond one industrial zone. This is the story of how Ukraine adapted one of America's most iconic tanks to the most drone-saturated battlefield in modern history, and why that matters for the future of armoured warfare. To understand why this strike resonated, we have to step back. When the United States agreed to send Abrams tanks to Ukraine, the decision was as political as it was military. The Abrams is not a simple export platform. It is a symbol of American armoured dominance. It was built for high-intensity warfare against peer adversaries. It carries advanced fire control systems, heavy composite armour, and the kind of battlefield survivability that shaped decades of US doctrine. But Ukraine's war is not the Fulda Gap. This is a war of drones, of loitering munitions, of precision artillery cued by quadcopters, of FPV drones costing a few $100s, diving into turret roofs and engine decks. It is a battlefield where tanks are hunted from above, from the side, and sometimes from kilometers away by operators watching through head-mounted displays. When the first Abrams arrived, skeptics were loud. Would they be too complex, too fuel-hungry, too vulnerable to cheap drones, too rare to risk? Early losses did not help the narrative. Some Abrams were damaged or destroyed. Russian forces targeted them aggressively. Propaganda outlets rushed to frame the tank as overrated, obsolete, exposed. But that was only the first chapter, because Ukraine did not deploy the Abrams blindly. It adapted it. Near sectors like Pokrovsk, a strategically vital hub in eastern Ukraine, Ukrainian crews began integrating the Abrams into a wider ecosystem of surveillance and firepower. This was not the lone tank charge of old war movies. This was orchestration. Picture the scene. If you're enjoying this video, hit that like and subscribe button right now. A contested industrial zone, warehouses, basements, concrete skeletons, perfect defensive terrain. Russian forces had already attempted assaults in the area. Mechanized columns had pushed along tree lines. Infantry had ridden atop armoured carriers. Quad bikes and motorcycles had tried to exploit speed and confusion. Ukrainian drones were waiting. When Russian columns advanced, Ukrainian operators targeted them with precision. FPV drones struck rear vehicles. Bomber drones dropped munitions onto halted APCs. Artillery saturated dismounted infantry clusters. Cluster munitions blanketed open ground. Immobilized vehicles became burning markers on the map. The result was devastating. Columns stalled, infantry scattered, armor burned. This was not chaos, it was preparation. And that preparation set the stage for the Abrams strike. Because once Russian forces had been blunted and disorganized, Ukraine moved to seize the initiative. Intelligence from persistent drone surveillance mapped firing positions and minefields. Engineers prepared a path. Infantry staged behind armoured carriers. And at the front of the column, not hiding, not trailing, an Abrams. This is the moment. Under fog cover, a Ukrainian assault group rolled forward. A mine-clearing vehicle led the way, probing for buried explosives. Behind it, the Abrams advanced with deliberate speed. APCS followed, loaded with infantry, tasked to clear buildings and secure the zone. The tactic was bold. The Abrams would draw fire. It would be the loudest, most obvious target on the road. Its thermal sights scanning windows, rooflines, alleyways. Its 120mm cannon ready to deliver precise, overwhelming force against fortified positions. In traditional doctrine, tanks support infantry. Here, the tank was also bait, and it worked. Russian positions opened fire toward the leading armor, attention fixed on the Abrams. That split second of focus allowed Ukrainian infantry carriers to maneuver. Drones relayed targeting updates in real time. Artillery stood ready to suppress any concentration of defenders. This was not just a tank firing shells, it was a synchronized machine of sensors and shooters. Zoom in. Inside the Abrams, 3 crew members, commander, gunner, driver, working in practiced rhythm. Thermal imaging cutting through smoke and fog. Fire control systems calculating distance and ballistic solution in fractions of a second. The 120mm main gun stabilizing even as the vehicle moved. A fortified building identified. Fire. The round impacts with devastating effect, collapsing walls and neutralizing a firing position that would have cost infantry lives. Shift the camera up. A drone operator miles away watches the engagement through a live feed. He sees muzzle flashes from another structure. Coordinates are passed. Within moments, artillery brackets the position. That is modern combined arms. Steel, silicon, satellite. The Abrams in Ukraine has not remained untouched. Crews have added reactive armor blocks in some cases. Anti-drone cages and netting appear around vulnerable sections. Field modifications, improvised but practical, attempt to disrupt the flight paths of FPV drones targeting turret roofs. This is adaptation under fire. And adaptation is the real story. Because the Abrams was designed for a battlefield where air superiority was assumed and drones were not omnipresent. In Ukraine, airspace is contested and small UAVs are everywhere. So Ukrainian doctrine evolved. Abrams are rarely left exposed without drone overwatch. They operate within layered protection, electronic warfare where available, counter-drone teams, reconnaissance assets feeding them constant situational awareness. They move in coordination with infantry trained to scan rooftops and tree lines for drone operators. They do not sit still, and that matters. Western analysts began noticing something subtle. The Abrams was not being thrown into reckless frontal assaults. It was being used surgically, as a breakthrough tool, as a mobile strongpoint, as a shock element inserted at decisive moments. That shift impressed observers, because it suggested something deeper. Ukraine was not merely receiving Western equipment, it was integrating it into its own evolving doctrine, shaped by 2 years of brutal combat. Back to the industrial zone. As the Abrams absorbed attention and delivered precision fire, infantry dismounted and pushed into structures, clearing rooms, securing basements, establishing footholds. Russian defenders, already shaken by prior drone and artillery strikes, faced not a chaotic rush, but a layered assault. This is the turning point. Control of that industrial ground denied Russia a forward stronghold. It protected Ukrainian positions from envelopment. It prevented a shift in local balance. On a map, it is a small patch of grey and red. On the ground, it is survival. Now zoom out. Why would this engagement resonate in Washington? Because US military planners are watching Ukraine closely, not for propaganda victories, for lessons. The Abrams has long been considered one of the most survivable tanks in the world. Composite armor, compartmentalized ammunition storage, advanced optics. But no tank was built for a sky filled with cheap, loitering munitions. Ukraine is stress testing that reality, and the Abrams' performance, when used correctly, suggests that heavy armor is not obsolete. It is evolving. The narrative that tanks are dead resurfaces in every major war. It appeared after anti-tank guided missiles proliferated, after urban warfare in the Middle East, after the first viral drone videos in Ukraine. But here is the uncomfortable truth. Infantry still needs protection. Ground still needs to be taken. Concrete still needs to be smashed. And for that, armoured vehicles matter. The Abrams strike near Pokrovsk demonstrated that when combined with drones, artillery, and disciplined infantry, a main battle tank can still dominate a localized fight. It also highlighted constraints. Abrams tanks are fuel-intensive. Their gas turbine engines consume large quantities of fuel compared to many diesel counterparts. That imposes logistical demands. Maintenance requires trained crews and supply chains. Spare parts matter. Ukraine has had to build that ecosystem under wartime pressure, and yet the tanks are operational. That alone is significant. From the American perspective, this is more than battlefield optics. It is data, real-world performance against a near-peer adversary equipped with anti-tank weapons, drones, and layered defenses. Every engagement becomes a case study. How did the armor hold up? How did thermal systems perform in contested environments? What modifications improved survivability? What vulnerabilities remain? The Ukrainian strike provided answers, not perfect ones, but valuable ones. Now consider the Russian side. Russian forces have relied heavily on massed armor throughout the war. Thousands of tanks lost, older models pulled from storage, turret vulnerabilities exposed by top-attack munitions and drones. When a Western tank like the Abrams appears and operates effectively, it complicates Russian planning. It demands prioritization. It forces allocation of resources to hunt and neutralize it. That changes tempo. A single tank will not win a war, but a single tank used at the right moment can tilt a fight. This is the broader lesson. Ukraine's use of the Abrams in this strike was not about showcasing Western hardware. It was about integrating shock effect into a precision ecosystem. Drones find, artillery suppresses, tanks breach, infantry holds. That sequence matters more than brand names. There is also a psychological dimension. For Ukrainian troops, seeing a heavily armored Western tank advancing at the front can reinforce confidence. It signals support. It signals capability. Morale is intangible, but real. For Russian troops facing it, the Abrams carries a reputation forged in previous wars. Even if modern battlefields level the playing field with cheap technology, perception still influences behavior. And in war, perception can buy seconds. Seconds save lives. So what does this mean strategically? First, it reinforces that heavy armor retains value when embedded in a networked force. Tanks operating alone are vulnerable. Tanks operating as part of a synchronized system remain potent. Second, it underscores the centrality of drones. The Abrams strike succeeded not because of steel alone, but because of persistent aerial surveillance and suppression of enemy concentrations before the armored push. Third, it signals that adaptation beats rigidity. The Abrams in Ukraine is not identical to the Abrams in US training fields. It is field modified. It reflects local realities. That flexibility is critical. And finally, it sends a message beyond Ukraine. Other militaries are watching. NATO planners, European defense ministries, Asian powers observing how armored warfare evolves under drone saturation. The conclusion is not that tanks are invincible. It is that tanks are transforming. The battlefield near Pokrovsk will not be remembered as a decisive strategic turning point in history books. It was not a massive offensive that collapsed fronts. It was a localized, hard-fought engagement for industrial ground. But in that microcosm, the future of armored warfare was visible. An American tank, Ukrainian crew, drone operators overhead, artillery in coordination, infantry moving through broken factories, and a system that worked. Even in Washington, where debates once questioned whether sending Abrams was worth the logistical burden, such engagements resonate, not because they prove superiority in some simplistic sense, but because they validate integration. They show that Western systems, when adapted intelligently, can operate in the most unforgiving combat environment on Earth. That is not hype, that is observation. The war in Ukraine continues. Front lines shift meters at a time. Villages change hands. Industrial zones become symbols of stubborn resistance. And somewhere along those lines, a Ukrainian Abrams will roll forward again. Not alone, not blindly, but as part of a machine of steel and code, human resolve, and digital precision. The lesson from that strike is simple. Armor is not dead. It is evolving. And in the hands of crews who understand its strengths and limits, it can still stun a battlefield and remind the world that modern war is not about one weapon, but about how everything works together. The fog will lift, the drones will keep flying, the tracks will keep turning, and every engagement will write the next chapter of armored warfare.